Good morning, Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland area. This is Veterans Views Radio on WJOB, 1230 AM, 1047 FM. And we are three veterans ourselves here, ready to bring you some updates on local, current, and past events that have to do with military affiliation. So please, at any time, give us a call, 219-845-1100 for your opinions as well. We have our co-host here, Steve Bramer.
Good morning.
Purple Heart recipient, DAV commander. DAV's Chapter 17, I should say. And we have Donna Ostrander, Marine.
Good morning. Hoorah.
Hoorah. Soon to be commander as well of American Legion Post, Hammond Victory Post. And I am Robert Rockwell, Chief Warrant Officer in the Army National Guard. And I am here to help. And we are all volunteers, so we're going to get this kicked off right away with a great subject that we got to talk about. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and one of them has to pertain to Lebanon, and it all comes back to really the economy going through the Strait of Hormuz and how it's affecting the Middle East in general. But Lebanon's got an interesting story that Donna wants to speak about a little bit, and we'll get into some conversation about that here just now.
All right, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in Lebanon. My headphones, I can't hear myself, but that's all right. Anyway, so talk about a little bit, because a lot of people may not know how Lebanon works, so I thought I'd bring up a little, history. That's my thing. So actually today, the people in Beirut are celebrating because Hamas does not have as much stranglehold as they used to have. So
Beirut, Lebanon.
Lebanon, yeah. What did I say?
You said Beirut.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're celebrating in Beirut.
Okay.
But Lebanon is a bigger country than just Beirut.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Let me see.
Because they have a 10-day ceasefire?
Yes.
They
yes.
implemented?
Yeah.
I was seeing oil prices have already gone down. It's like $78 a barrel right now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of fell like a rock over the last few days.
Nice.
A lot of it has to do with the restriction of the Iranians even getting to their own ports. Like the U.S. has got a stronghold now.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is putting China on the fence. And
right.
so it's leading into so many other friction points out there that we are actually taking the charge on that.
Yeah.
Which obviously was necessary. We can't just let these, let's say, I just want to call them pirates. Call them for what they are. Like, they're out there on their little speedboats. They're not military. Like,
right.
Most of their equipment at this point is destroyed. But they have enough to cause a problem.
Yeah.
And if you've got a tanker full of 100 million barrels or whatever, I don't know, a huge amount of 10 million barrels on one of these tankers, and one of these little boats puts some 50 cal rounds in you or shoots something at you to deter you from getting to where you need to go, like that causes huge problems. So they're not going through.
Yeah. Well, I guess there was a bottleneck past couple of days there because ships didn't want to go through because of the firing.
Well, we have the blockade, so we're blocking any ships going from or to Iran. But the other ships for the other countries can get through.
Okay, so I got a question, because I don't know too much about this demographic. If they don't go through there, where do they go then?
They don't.
They're
want to go
stuck
around
back in there.
Oh, so you can't?
No.
Yeah, a lot in there's like that Bay Area where a lot of the oil comes from, like the Pakistan, southern Iraq, northern Kuwait areas. And so actually some breaking news this morning: Iran declares Strait of Hormuz open to shipping. Trump says U.S. blockade still active. So it's interesting to me how we take control of it to where now Iran doesn't have the power to negotiate anymore. And then Iran comes out and declares the Strait of Hormuz open.
Yeah.
So like,
we're gonna take it off. We're gonna take it easy on you guys.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's like winning in a football game and then being like, you know what, you guys, we let you win anyways. Like,
yeah.
No, you just got your butts whipped, and now you're like fading into the darkness.
Right. Well, what gets me is they say they're going to cut off the northern area. There you go. I can hear now. The northern areas, and cut those off. Those I forget the name. I'm terrible at. Anyway, and I'm like, how are they going to put a blockade there if they don't have a navy.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the Iranians.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Iranians. Yeah.
Well, they were
Yeah.
using those drones to just shoot at stuff.
Yeah.
From what I saw.
Yeah. So actually, when I was looking at the market this morning, it was up like 700 points. So it's been
Nice.
10, 11 days, maybe one day in between of, maybe yesterday was the first day the NASDAQ wasn't green. So since this ceasefire, things have started to somewhat recover, and you're seeing it at the gas tank. Now, this short-term volatility, you don't want to lead to long-term inflation problems, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what it would lead to if we didn't figure this out. Now you're not just talking about the gas pump. You're talking about everything from hospitality to commerce to trade, getting more expensive. And although we produce the most oil in the world, the U.S., okay?
Yeah.
But we don't have the most oil reserves in the world.
Right.
Okay?
They didn't replenish them after Biden released them a few years ago.
It's just our reserves, really.
Yeah.
It's like Venezuela has double the amount of reserves that we have, right?
So-
And it's
Yeah.
like a small, minute portion of our country.
I was wondering that because I just want to say this real quick. I was wondering that, like, why are our gas prices going up if this is all happening
it's
out
a
there,
world
right?
economy, man.
Yeah.
Well,
It's all connected,
do
you know?
you know that all of our refineries are made to clean the dirty oil?
Yes, we don't have any fine.
But we don't have that. We have
Right.
clean oil or clean crude.
Yeah.
So then we import the clean crude
Yeah.
to process it, and then we export
Yeah.
the dirty stuff,
Well-
or vice versa. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's
we
just
haven't
crazy.
we haven't built a new refinery in this country in years,
I know.
20,
I know.
30 years.
It's
Wow.
been so
Which is
long.
crazy.
We have a
Yeah.
caller?
You know?
Yeah, we
Yes.
have a caller.
All right. Hey, caller. Welcome to Veterans Views Radio Show.
Oh, how you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello? Yeah. Okay. I have a kind of a question. I saw by accident a made-for-TV movie in early '80s. It was about a fellow. He went to Russia with his family. Then he got kind of in trouble with the system and the politics, and they locked him up for 10 or 15 years. I think it was Jake Rambo in that movie. I forgot the name of that powerful TV movie. I'd like to get a regular copy of that DVD. You think you guys could help me find that? And I listen to you next week's show.
What
Yeah.
was-
It was I think it was Jake Rambo in it. He
You said in the 80s?
well, not to repeat myself, he went to his family back to Russia. It was like in the 1930s, and they got kind of trouble, and they didn't like him, and they took him away when his father was getting married for the second time. I remember I saw a book when I bought his bookstore. About fellows men that went to Russia during the 1930s. We're hoping they
Okay.
have a little bit of life, but
So this is
they
in
really
the
didn't have
place-
a little bit of life. Yeah, I think it was Jake Rambo. You remember him? He was
Jake
in that series. The guy. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go rattling on and on.
No, that's
yeah,
all right.
but he
You're
was
good.
in that cowboy series in the '60s with Walter Brennan titled "The Guns of Will Sonnet." Yeah, he
Okay.
had a twin brother that died in a car accident. I was
Okay.
trying to find a biography about him, but there's no biography. But I'm pretty sure he was in that powerful made-for-TV movie. Okay, I hope I didn't lose you guys too much.
No.
No, you're good.
Still there?
So it's a military movie.
No.
No.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
does this movie have
Yeah, it was a
anything to do
powerful one of those powerful TV movies. Yeah, I think it was a true story.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't mean to talk so much.
No, you're
No,
good.
you're good. You're good.
You're good. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, we'll check.
Yeah.
We'll check. See if we can find something on that.
Okay. So you help me find it, maybe?
Yeah.
If
Yup.
possible, I listen next week.
Steve's our movie guy. He can
I'm
help
pretty
you out.
sure,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for
Yeah,
it
I'm
for you.
pretty sure it was Jake Rambo
Okay.
in that one. Oh, I'm sorry. You
No.
said something?
No, you're good.
Sounds good, man.
Sounds good. We'll
Thanks
look
for
for it.
calling in.
Thank you. Hey, before we go any further, I got to show y'all our new graphic. Let me get out of the way here. If you're going to watch this on YouTube later, we got a new graphic for our screen back here, so I wanted to show it off.
Oh yeah, got some amphibious, got some marine,
Yeah.
Army,
Air Force.
Abram,
Yeah, that thing's awesome.
battleship,
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
F-16s.
Heck
We got
yeah.
it going on.
Yeah, we represent everybody.
That's right.
All right.
So with the ceasefire, in line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire. Okay,
Who said that?
let's see. That is the Iran on Friday declared the Strait of Hormuz completely open
Yeah.
to commercial traffic during the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon.
Oh, okay.
So I think that they were saying that because Israel was still popping off at Lebanon, that was a breach in the ceasefire.
Yeah.
They were also trying to say that because the U.S. started taking control of the strait, that was a breach of the ceasefire. So things were a little bit up in the air. Like, did the Iranians agree to the ceasefire
Yeah.
or not? But again, back to our point a couple weeks ago, like all you hear from our representatives talking about this is how dominant we've been, right? Of course, we've lost lives, and God bless our soldiers, airmen, Navy, Marines, anyone who's sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice. But I will say, all you hear is how we've dominated. Yet, how are they even in the position to say, yeah, we're still in the ceasefire. The strait is open.
Yeah.
Like, because
It's all a game.
The president has said, hey, we've took out their first levels of leadership. They put it in second level. We took them out. Now they're at the third level. They're trying to find people to talk to because they got nobody to talk to. Literally, that's like almost as verbatim what he said.
Yeah.
And it's like, so who's got control here? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
I know we got control. Like, I have that feeling. We really do have control. But who's over there being like, yep, the Iranians, we're good with the ceasefire.
Yeah.
And I did read an article yesterday where there's about 4 or 5 Iranians with PhDs. You got to take that with a grain of salt. Iranian PhD. I don't know where they got their PhDs.
Probably here.
But the representatives, like our vice president that went over there, was it 2 weekends ago, not this past weekend? And they couldn't figure out a specific deal because Iran still wanted to, mess with their nuclear program. And basically the deal on the table was, we don't want you to do anything nuclear. 20 years minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not for power, not for nothing.
But you got these Iranians with PhDs. Like, why? You think that that's their reasoning?
Yeah.
Well, we want nuclear power.
Yeah.
Right. Because every first world.
That's
country
how it started.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't need to have secret bunkers. 3 miles underground
For nuclear power.
for nuclear power.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
don't we have one in Michigan City? Like right on the.
Yeah.
It's just like we're.
Oh
not
yeah,
hiding
it's
it.
right off the lake.
Yeah.
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 I did a tour there when I was in like 4th grade.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Always remind
you
me
could
of
go
the-
inside there.
Yeah. Yeah. He used to have tours. I don't know if they still do, but they did back in the 70s.
When I was a kid, that always
70s.
reminded me of Homer Simpson's power plant.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody like Homer Simpson's not the safety guy.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
I just thought about it. The Iranians today, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, are veterans of when we were in Iraq.
Yeah.
And they were a part of that whole, like, guerrilla warfare type.
They gave weapons to our enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could see that being part of the problem now. Now they've gone underground. You don't really have anybody who's in power. You just have a bunch of people that know where munitions are and using them. Mm-hmm. And who knows how many of those drones they have.
Why?
Oh, that's their biggest.
Oh, yeah. They've
Weapon,
been building
because
those
they're
for
cheap, right?
Yeah.
years.
And I read an article yesterday. It was talking about how this ceasefire is giving Iraq an opportunity to dig out their bunkers that we bombed.
Oh wow.
So they said they had satellite photos showing heavy equipment moving dirt and stuff, trying to dig out their stuff out of them tunnels. So that'll be interesting to see how that.
Well, what you don't want to see is these crazy anti groups start forming.
Yeah.
In these pockets, and that's what happens, right? Like Al Qaeda's and all the.
The ISIS.
Right. And
Right.
so like some of even in Afghanistan, these are now these former, little militias are now like governments. Right?
Yeah.
So like the Taliban is like the US negotiates with them in certain aspects.
Well, the U.S. created them.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Right. Well, I mean, you
But,
can get down
then
that
we
rabbit
fought
hole
them.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Iran's foreign minister said on Friday that the Strait of Hormuz is completely open. So that's this morning, over an hour ago.
Wow.
Iran's foreign minister. Somebody Google that.
Yeah.
Who's Iran's foreign minister? You know?
Yeah.
And well, how come he wasn't a target?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, maybe he isn't. Well, maybe he will be if the ceasefire doesn't go through.
Maybe it's the third one.
Maybe it's the third one. Right.
But President Trump said that a U.S. blockade in Iranian ports will continue
Yeah.
until the negotiations with Tehran are over and a peace deal are complete.
From what I understand, we used our minesweepers to get all the mines out of there too.
Yeah, we're working that.
Yeah, working that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have any more ships to put mines down. So
God
which is
bless
good.
our Navy out there.
Right?
That's a dangerous job.
Yes, it is.
And those guys are in harm's way right now.
Yeah.
Guys and gals, I should say. It's a tough situation, and
Yeah.
like I said, we haven't done this. We've done this as flawless as possible, but we have lost lives.
Yeah.
And I know we get callers in that have specific names, and we've even got local as Iowa guardsmen and reservists that.
Yep.
I mean, we were
lost
talking.
lives.
Oh, I asked you earlier. I heard that a lot of our bases out there have been destroyed, and you said they haven't, and I kind of think that too. They haven't been destroyed, but they've been hit pretty
A
hard.
couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you a couple things that's not secret. I mean, you can find this online. Like where I was laying my head and where I was sitting at my desk and where I was sitting for chow are now gone.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And I was there this time last year.
That's
Wow.
You know?
crazy to
Yeah.
think about.
And
Yeah.
I would say no. Well, what is it? We're in April?
Yeah.
April, May. So May of last year, the end of May is really when that 12-day war started popping off into June. Mm-hmm. So that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was finally like, if we don't do something now, they will have a nuclear weapon, and then they'll be crazy like North Korea.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to stop them from doing anything that they want.
No.
Yeah.
Because once they have a nuclear power, or nuclear capability, this isn't something that is taken lightly, because you're talking about, Hiroshima, hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of people just wiped off the face of the planet, right?
Yeah. Right.
And what was it? Geez, that's 80 years ago now.
Yeah.
But it's almost like welcome to the superpower club.
Yeah.
When you're able to get one of those,
Yeah.
and it's a terrible thing.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
not a good club to be in,
No.
but also you have to be
Yeah.
in that club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose if. But the problem is that everybody knows it in the Middle East, like the Saudis, the Emiratis, the Kuwaitis.
Do
they
any of
know.
them have nuclear power?
No. The only ones in the Middle East who have nuclear power are Israel, Pakistan, and India.
Oh, I forgot about
Okay.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, we got
Yep.
another caller.
Go ahead, caller.
Go
You're
ahead.
on Veterans Views radio show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, fellows. Marine.
Hoorah.
Joe McCarthy. How you doing?
Okay, Joe.
Hey, good
Hey,
morning.
there he is.
Watching you guys on YouTube, which is a little bit of a delay, so I'm not sure where my call's coming in. It might not match up entirely with what you guys are talking about. But what do you think about the civilians that are taking fire? And I've gone to Ground News Network, for news information, various podcasts outside of the United States media reporting on it, because I know I'm going to get a biased view. But what do you think of the civilians welcoming the attacks and saying that we've been living under a regime so harsh over the last 20, 30 years that we look at this as something that they're willing to risk their lives
Yeah.
in order to see a regime fall like that? It's heartbreaking, and I know Americans in general can't understand that.
No.
Well,
But
Joe, I think
we
that's a
need
great
to
question.
Consider that.
If I was to speak to this, I think that we need to be very careful for this not to become another Iraq, right? Because when we went in there or, liberated
Iran?
them,
Yeah.
Iraq with Saddam Hussein,
Yeah.
we weren't seen as enemies by the civilian population.
No, not at all.
We weren't seen as enemies until we were on the ground and we were doing bad stuff
Yeah.
to the civilian population.
Right.
And then you got these militia groups that rose.
Yeah.
I will say this, that since January's anti-government protests began in Iran, that the reports that not just the mass casualties on the
Right.
streets,
Right.
where we've reported as many as 40,000, but 1,600 public death sentences for civilians that have been identified as protesting against
Yeah.
the government. 1,600 death sentences.
That's
Exactly.
crazy.
And that's how do you negotiate with a theocracy like that,
Right.
or take them for their word on anything that they say?
Yeah.
And yet, I understand we don't want to go in there. I understand that, but I can't understand. This is going to lead to an internal civil war that we don't need to be involved in, and we need to recover the nuclear material
Right.
that is being processed, or at least disable it to a point where they can't recover it. I would think that our CIA intelligence agencies are working on that, and all satellites are basically know every movement that's going on the ground there. It
Yeah.
is
Oh,
of such
yeah, I'm sure.
critical
Oh, yeah.
importance.
Yeah,
What blows my mind is the NATO not helping the United States
Right.
in any type of regard, and yet we're facing or they're facing something that they critically need, which is an energy source.
Right.
And we're opening up the straits and we're protecting the waterways under maritime law, but it's being ignored. So, I mean, the politics are all over the place on that. And I would just ask my patriotic American friends, families, or just put down the TDS stuff or the cynicism and support our country, but at the same time, we need to have a serious conversation as far as what is our place in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
And with that, I appreciate you guys sending out the message and maintaining a sense of calm and looking it over. So
Yeah.
I'll listen to what you have to say. I find it very interesting.
well, thank you, Joe.
All right,
No,
thanks, Joe.
there's a lot to unravel there.
Yeah.
I think that to start just back to the execution, they're not leaving anybody out. Okay,
No.
there's a 19-year-old world wrestling champion like Saleh Mohammadi. They put to
Yeah.
death. They're putting to
Yeah.
death anybody that speaks out against their government.
There's a woman that was just
yeah, Bida Hamida.
yes,
Yeah.
that was just slated.
She was a very decent looking person too.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I think, and to Joe, I think that a lot of this has to do with more than obviously just their nuclear power.
Yeah.
I think now that the opportunity is there, we're taking away a huge ability of China's. Okay, China's invested billions of dollars in roadways through Iran for the transfer of commerce, oil, you name it.
yeah.
Just like they did in Venezuela.
And
Yeah.
prior to Iran and Hezbollah being run as a dictatorship, if you will, the U.S. was very friendly with them in the 70s. So we, you know, it's so empowering for China, and there's so much flow of product through Iran with that partnership.
Yeah.
They provide that Strait of Hormuz, although it's 20% of the world's population oil, it's 70% of China's.
Right. And you know,
So
I'm
you
actually
think things are slowing down and we're taking off, you know,
Yeah.
we're poking the bear, right?
yeah.
They said that they were going to deploy their Navy.
That's a big Navy.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
you know-
do you think you just made me think of something? So, do you think that this Iran thing has been planned for
Oh.
a while, and that's why they took out Maduro first?
Yeah, I think they're. I think you know you have to look at China. I'm reading a book about China right now, which is fascinating, and learning how they think. You know, and it's everything is for their government, their communist government. You know, and the thing was when you know when we allowed some of China's stocks to be put on the
US
stock exchange with the caveat that they would have special treatment because we cannot go in and audit their companies because they say it's national security. You can't know what we're doing. But other companies are held to a higher standard. And then our bigwigs here in the financial sector said, well, they're supported by the government. We can't lose, so we're going to get them over here and get them, and so we can invest in them and make money, millions, billions of dollars. Another thing I'm reading about China is, which is kind of off topic, but they're harvesting body parts over there. You can, as an American or anybody, you call a broker basically, and you can go to China and get an organ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Whoa. What?
Yes.
What do you mean you could get an organ? Like you can
go get a kidney.
No.
Yes, there's there's documentation of this. It's been going on for years.
Wow.
And you can go over there and
So there's not like transplant program or
no,
nothing?
no, they don't have nothing like that.
You're paying for it.
Yeah, but you're not paying much because these are prisoners that they're killing
wow.
live people to give you an organ, basically. The people that
You could buy anything, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I guess you've got NBA players that are now going to Europe for their surgeries and whatnot because they are allowed to do things over there that they can't do here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. But they're killing their own people to do these organ transplants because there was one guy who documented his case. He said, his doctor is in the book, and he was talking about how this guy came to him and said, well, screw it. I'm getting a heart transplant in 2 weeks. The doctor's like, you can't know that. That doesn't work that way. He's like, yeah, I'm going to China. I'm going to get a heart in 2 weeks.
He's a millionaire or something?
No.
Oh.
No, it doesn't cost that much.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Ugh, that's
And
sad.
there's
I'm gonna have to read on it. I didn't know that.
I'll give you the book when I'm done with it. It is driving me crazy when you read about this. But anyway,
It's completely different culture. But they haven't been, it's just been the last 100 years that they've rose. Like if you look at the world economies 100 years ago, Great Britain was right there at number one. They've fallen significantly, but U.S. is still number one as far as economy. But we also import 70% of China's exports. So the world economy is connected more now than ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we're seeing so many proxy wars as opposed to direct contact with these, I would say, big players,
Yeah.
right? We're not going into Russia. We're fighting a proxy with Ukraine, right? We're not going into China. We're fighting a proxy with Iran. And
Yeah.
people don't see Iran as a proxy war, but if you study as to how connected Iran is with China, their economies, their movements, their mobility, everything, their airspace over through India, you understand why there's a huge interest for America to turn the page on that regime.
yeah.
And sadly, in the beginning, like I said, it looks like Iraq because, hey, weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
But at least the reports here are that we have found them and destroyed them.
Yeah.
Right?
Right,
And
right.
like Joe said, now we got to get in there and collect that stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
and it's buried.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we have the technology to get it out of there.
Right.
But one of the things is, because China, like you said, Steve, was very involved in Venezuela. Now they're out of there. And then I just read an article this morning about, I believe it's France or Germany, has about 2 weeks of jet fuel left.
Oh, wow.
And once they run out, they're going to have to start canceling planes. So it's like, oh, I'm going to Europe and getting stuck. No.
Like commercial.
Commercial, yeah.
Ooh.
Commercial jet fuel, yeah.
Why don't they have jet fuel?
Because they get theirs from Iraq.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They get it through the strait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's why they're mad at.
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, one I heard a story this past weekend, and one of our non-Department of Defense military organizations, Department of Homeland Security, Coast Guard, doesn't get enough credit sometimes.
They don't.
One of my fellow warrant officers in the National Guard had a good conversation. His son is in the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
And he is intel. Okay. So he was in pretty heated positions in Qatar, most recently when Iran was shooting at Qatar, right? And as close as within buildings away of being
Wow.
blown up.
Wow.
And driving, it's like a movie, like the way he described this. going to different safe houses to
Wow.
get away from the fire.
Jesus.
And the Coast Guard's in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
don't think about that
No.
at all.
No.
At all. I'd never consider seeing Space Force or Coast Guard in like that combat
right.
type
Yeah.
zone. But
Yeah.
they've got their own intel organizations within their organizations.
Wow.
And
Wow, yeah, right.
to say that, to just say, we've also had some Coast Guard here on the show that have talked about seizing drugs in the the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
and so there's a military.com article this morning. Coast Guard seized enough cocaine in Eastern Pacific to kill 1.4 million Americans.
Wow. That's a lot of coke.
That's all-
Right?
yeah.
That's a good time.
Yo, hey. 3,825 pounds
Wow.
at base in Miami Beach, worth more than 28.7 million.
Wow.
Cocaine had been seized during 2 international war interdictions in the Eastern Pacific Ocean. So,
Wow.
hey, we're fighting in our own shores to keep our citizens safe. We're fighting all over the world. And
Yeah.
to Joe's point, maybe we should evaluate what's most important.
Yeah.
What we always got to be the good guys.
Yeah.
Always got to come in and save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did Ronald Reagan say? If our freedom fails, there's no other place to go. I'm paraphrasing, of course. He says, we are the last bastion of freedom.
That's actually
You
a
know,
good point.
but we have a caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on WJOB Veterans Views.
Hey, good morning, Donna Dunn, my favorite
Joe.
Marine Corps. Hi, how you doing?
Hey.
And Rocky.
Joe, forget about it.
And
Forget
then,
about
and okay, all right. Yeah, I'm stumbling there.
And then
Anyway,
you got Steve.
and just because I'm a Marine doesn't mean I'm drunk. Okay, so I'm not. That's first thing in the morning. So
Okay.
I'm not intoxicated.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
Two things. Yeah. Okay. Two things. I don't know. I know it's just something special, and I don't know how much what they do and stuff. But I was just notified we lost one of our American Legion members, who was our oldest member, 100 years old.
Wow.
He passed away on December 8th. Born in January of 1926, and then he passed away
Wow.
on this April 8th, and they're putting him to rest today. Out here in Hobart and stuff like that, So,
Okay.
but 100 years old and stuff like that,
Wow.
He was riding the parade with us when he was 98 years old, dressed in full uniform and everything, and that's why he insisted on dressing in uniform. 98, and he's riding a parade for the 4th of July and stuff like that, So
I love when those guys wear
and
their old
then,
uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Born in the roaring
Don't
20s,
you-
right through the Great Depression.
Exactly. That.
Yeah.
And then, hey, Steve, my friend, were you able to do anything with the lady? Her husband's a 71-year-old Army vet amputee, and they got paperwork from the VA about the van and stuff like that, And she wasn't know what to do with it and stuff like that. I left you a message. I think she did too. Did anything come of that, or is that still working, or do you know anything about that?
Yeah, we'll talk offline.
Okay, that's fine. I was waiting to get a hold of you, but I know you're busy, and I've had appointments and stuff like that too. So, okay, that's fine, my friend. But yeah, I just want to let you know about our oldest Centurion that we just
Wow.
lost and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Bless his
they
heart.
make
God bless
100
him,
years old and stuff like that.
Imagine
his
what
name was-
100
his name
years
was,
in this country you've been through.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's incredible.
Fred Larson was his name.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, so
Okay.
but yeah, thank you very much, guys. You guys have a good weekend. Take care. God bless, and
you too, Joe.
All right.
Semper Fi, Donna,
Semper
and
Fi.
the rest of you have a blessed weekend. Okay, all
All
right.
right.
And to say
Thank-
that
All right,
how much
thanks,
he's
Joey.
seen in 100 years. We've advanced as a society, as
Yeah.
humans and technology over the last 80 years.
Yeah, right.
More than the last 2,000 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, geez, 100-year-old veteran.
Wow.
He's seen, born in the roaring 20s,
Yeah.
Industrial Revolution, gone through the 30s of the Great Depression,
Yep.
right into World War II,
Yeah.
Korean War. I mean, who
Vietnam,
knows? I
yeah.
wish we could talk how this guy's probably
I would love to hear his story if we could have. Yeah. That would have been
unreal. 100 years old.
Wow.
And then we're like, hey, I was born in the 80s, and I feel already kind of molded into this
Oh, stop.
world.
Yeah, young and whippersnapper. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about. Oh, you want to read the sponsors?
You want to do them now?
Yeah, we'll do them now.
Okay. So I wanted to bring up the sponsors. We wanted to do it a little later in the show today, so try something new. We want to thank Calumet Breweries, 6535 Osborne Avenue in Hammond. You can reach them at 219-845-2242. Calumet Park and Funeral Chapel, always supporting our veterans. 2305 West 83rd Avenue in Maryville. Call 219-769-8803 for special veteran savings and complete burial packages. DAV Chapter 17 to meet the first Thursday at 7 p.m. at VFW Post 802, 5820 Holman Avenue. Same thing for Military Purple Heart. They meet the second Thursday at 7 p.m. at VFW Post 802, 5820 Holman Avenue in Hammond. And then I'll do the rest right before the end.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about Lebanon and how Lebanon's government kind of works. So you have Hezbollah, which is a terrorist organization founded in 1982, funded and created by Iraq and trained by their Revolutionary Guard. Their founding charter, is a jihad against Iran, which is no. Oh man, I lost my document. There it is. Which is
Against Israel.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And so now it's, death to all the infidels and everything like that. So, it was an Iranian project. Hezbollah has been an Iranian project from the get-go. And that's where they get their money from, is from Iran. And it was staffed with Lebanese Shia fighters who were willing and structured to give Tehran plausible deniability over the operations it directed and funded. So in Lebanon, you had in 1983, of course, the Beirut bombed the barracks there and killed 241 Americans, most of them Marines, and 58 French paratroopers. And it was funded by Hezbollah. All right, and in that same year, they kidnapped hostages. You had the CIA station chief, William Buckley, who was tortured to death while he was in captivity and killed by Hezbollah. It's Hezbollah is a terrible organization. So anyway, Hezbollah. So as Israel withdrew from southern Lebanon in 2000, and Hezbollah was rearmed by Syria, and their transit routes were through Syria, and their weapons came from Iran. So they had a little, so they were rearmed there. They had all their rockets, and they bombed the heck out of Israel. So Iran transferred approximately $400 million to Hezbollah in the 80s. Through the 90s and 2000s, it was $100 million, and $200 million a year after that. After the 2006 war, Iran was rebuilding Hezbollah's military capacity. The funding escalated. The U.S. State Department documented that Iran was transferring $700 million every year to Hezbollah. And that's like 70 to 75% of all their money that they get. So I can't find the part that I was looking for about their government. But their government has three parts. And it's...
Who? Hezbollah?
No, Lebanon.
Lebanon.
And Hezbollah they control the Shia part of their government. Hezbollah does. So all three departments have to agree before they can do something. Well, what Hezbollah does, if they don't like what the other two are doing, they get up and walk out. So, they're not gonna put up with what they don't want,
Interesting.
And Iran has said, Hassan Nasrallah said in 2016, as long as Iran has money, Hezbollah has money. And that's and that's what's going on over there. So
the president said, it was within the last 24 hours, he said he prohibited Israel from bombing Lebanon. Mm-hmm. He added that the issue of Hezbollah's presence would be dealt with separately from Iran and in an appropriate manner. So obviously on our radar.
Basically, he's saying something's going to happen, but I'm not telling you guys what.
Yeah, Netanyahu vowed to continue dismantling Lebanese groups as Israel had not yet finished the job. So there's a lot of volatility over there. And
I mean, Iran over the Hezbollah creation has something like $20 billion to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Now, that $20 billion didn't go to build schools, hospitals, roads, anything like that. It went to create rockets and their terrorist organization.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, aren't they the ones that came into Israel just a few short years ago that they were saying was like Israel's 9/11, and those people came in and kidnapped a bunch of Americans? They kidnapped a
Yes.
bunch.
That was
Hamas. They
Hamas.
were hitting people
was
with,
that Hamas?
with
Okay.
machetes and stuff. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
They captured like hundreds of people.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
And that's really, it seems like that's where it all started.
Yeah.
They all, well, I mean, obviously this has been going on for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, but just recent news.
Yeah.
So I found the part about their government. So the president of Lebanon must be a Maronite Christian. The prime minister must be a Sunni Muslim, and the speaker of parliament a Shia Muslim. So this system gives Hezbollah and its Shia ally leverage over Lebanese governments. Any major decision requires Shia political buy-in. Hezbollah controls it through their Shia people. Hezbollah could and repeatedly has vetoed Lebanon government decisions it opposed simply by, like I said before, withdrawing its ministers from the cabinet. And that's how Hezbollah controls Lebanon.
That's crazy because, Saddam Hussein was a Sunni.
Yeah.
Now I see why they had such a problem with him out there.
Yeah.
Because Shias and the Sunnis,
They've been fighting since
they do
biblical
not
times.
get along.
They've been fighting for
Man.
thousands of years.
I don't even think they know why they're fighting anymore. It is crazy.
And the new
Mention
government in
Hamas.
Lebanon has been trying to change this agreement that the way their government works since the new government, their president is Joseph Aoun, and their prime minister is Nawaf Salam, and they've been trying to change this since taking office last January. And Salam, he declared Hezbollah's military activities illegal, and Aoun pledged in his inaugural address to establish a Lebanese state monopoly on weapons. So the Lebanese army came up with a disarmament plan for Hezbollah and was approved in the cabinet, but even as the Shia ministers walked out. So, of course, they're not going to vote to disarm themselves. But the actual government in Lebanon wants to get Hezbollah out of their country.
Yeah, it says here Hamas has established presence in Lebanon, acting as political and military forces with the Palestinian refugee camps in coordination with Hezbollah.
Yeah. And now Hezbollah's money's drying up. So they get their money from Iran. And Hezbollah has been going to the streets asking people, to donate to their cause. So they've run out of money, and Lebanon sees this as a unique opportunity to get them out.
That attack that I was mentioning where they came in there and slaughtered and kidnapped tons of prisoners, that was in October of 2023.
October 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, I was on a plane from Jordan to UAE. It was a commercial flight because there was no C-130s to hop on at the time. So I got authorization to go into the civilian airport in Amman, Jordan, and fly to the UAE. And I sat next to. Typically, when I was on any commercial flight out there, I wouldn't sit next to a woman because.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They just don't want to sit next to men, right? And there's a lot of conservative, women out there that wear their shawls and everything, right? I made that mistake one time, sitting next to a woman, and she was not happy, and I didn't really realize that wasn't cordial, right? So I asked the lady to let me move. Anyways, I sat next to these two women, and I was going to sit down, didn't realize that, and then they're like, "Oh no, please sit, please sit." So I knew that they weren't the specific religion that wouldn't allow me to sit next to them.
Yeah.
They were like talking to me,
Yeah.
their face. I could see their faces and stuff. They just had it on their
okay.
hair. And I sat down with them, and I am a U.S. soldier, right? I'm just
Right.
in civilians. They don't. I'm not like afraid to talk to these people.
Well, the haircut probably gave you away.
Yeah. And of course, I was shaven and clean cut, and I was a lot thinner then too, and in better shape. But anyways, these Palestinian women, they're Palestinians, very much so wanted to make sure that I knew as an American that they were very good people. They were very nice people. They were religious people. They had great morals. They had great education. They were suffering, and they gave me some beads and stuff, and were like super nice and
Yeah.
decent looking women, man. They were just like normal,
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, these people are very Americanized for
Yeah.
out here because you don't really experience a whole lot of Americanized cultures
Wow.
throughout the Middle East.
Yeah.
You get your pockets, right?
Right.
But so I was impressed, and then just started researching like Palestinian, what they've been through, and it's just such a because they don't really have a country,
Right.
Yeah. There's no like Palestine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just very awkward how you have an entire population that doesn't really have a place.
Well, they're
they're-
suffering because of the extremists.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the extremists are just doing whatever they want that benefits them, and then the population suffers.
Yeah, and that's what I think some people don't realize either is Iraq is not a Muslim country; they're Persians. And so that's a little different than.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it wasn't
You know.
Iran. Iran was Persian too, wasn't it? Until
I don't
until
know.
that revolution in the 70s, I think 60s, 70s.
Like late 70s.
Something like
when
that.
what was it? Hezbollah? Oh, not Hezbollah. What's the word that you always say? The guy that
Hamas?
just got Hamas. The dude just got capped at 96 years old.
The Shah.
The Shah.
The Shah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that dude took over.
Yeah.
And he lived to like 96. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
yeah,
How many people lived to 96 regardless? We had to be
Right.
like the worst person on the planet.
you're right.
You know?
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
like Fidel Castro. Just live forever.
right. Yeah, and you talk about the way women are treated in the Middle East. Did you know that if a woman goes to prison in the Middle East, her kids go with her?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
didn't know that
Is
either.
it specific countries, I'm sure?
It was Iran, Iraq,
Yeah.
Afghanistan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I used to work.
Afghanistan's real old school.
Yeah,
With their beliefs.
they're Taliban.
So then I'm
Yeah.
assuming the jails are accommodating
Well,
to the kids?
I used to
Probably not.
work with a guy at the mill who ran the jail, one of the jails over there.
Oh, wow.
And his story just, wow, it just floored me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we would talk about it a little bit, and he was telling me that, the kids are there, and the women would try to get the Americans to take their kids, get my children out of here. Take them to America so they can
Yeah.
have a life. And I don't know if the women, when they are put to death, as so many are, what happens to the kids? I don't know. I mean, and it's terrible the way they and all these women in our country. It's what makes me mad is we have all these women in this country who, I'm pro, I'm pro Muslim, I'm pro this, I'm pro that, and I'm like, I'm oppressed in this country, sister. You don't know what oppression is.
Yeah. And
You
there's
know?
still slavery. There's still
Yes.
yeah. It's
Yeah, you have no idea. You're not. Nobody's oppressed
and
in
it's
this
not
country.
just the Middle East. I mean, they do in India still, like
Yeah.
being betrothed when you're like 16, right?
Arranged marriages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that goes on all over the world.
What is it that even our poorest in this country are like in the top like 10%
Yeah.
of like
Poor people in this
In the
country have an
world.
iPhone and TV.
yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, and in other countries they don't have that luxury.
Yeah,
You know?
it's sad. And I spoke about this at the North Township motorcycle ride in the summer, and I was a keynote speaker. As a part of my speech, is like, if you've traveled around the world, or if you've even walked through really impoverished areas in the world as a civilian, or through it with your combat boots, you see that these kids. I just think of Jordan, and I think of how much trash is in the desert, and how there was like wild dogs everywhere, and there's people out there picking through the trash, kids,
For food.
yeah,
Wow.
kids, and their mom, like walking with them, and they look healthy enough, like they're not starving to death, but I just thought at that time, like, this is why we're here,
Yeah.
and this is terrible, and we are so lucky to be born in this country.
You got that
A
right.
very low percent
Well-
that we're actually born here, and we spoke about that before.
When you drive through Iraq, you would see like a bunch of kids playing in a river. You go a little further, and they're washing their clothes in the river. You go a little further, and there's a bunch of bison in the river,
Yeah.
and they're all using the same water for everything.
Drinking and everything.
Everything. And it's, oh man, it's heartbreaking. Some
It
of it
is.
is heartbreaking.
It is.
Yeah,
And
but you know what? When you're born in it, you don't know that
You don't know any better.
Right.
Yeah.
And you think about, Iran had the revolution in 79, and all those people are like my age. And people y'all's age don't remember that. Don't remember what life was like before.
Right, right.
They don't remember the freedoms they had. If you look at pictures from Iran from pre-1979, it looked like they were
Developed.
Americans. They
Yeah,
were developed.
totally.
The
I've
women,
seen
and the women got to go to college. They got to do what they wanted to
It's
do.
wild. How it can change.
And in 1979, it's like if somebody flipped a switch and turned
Yeah.
all that stuff off.
Yeah, and like Joe said earlier, if there is a civil war, which I would say there should be,
Yeah.
maybe we just stay on the outside of it and let them handle it.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Let the cards fall how they will.
Yeah.
And then, hey, build a relationship with the new government
Yeah.
and make sure that we are on the good side of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I think, we being an occupying force in Afghanistan and Iraq was wrong. I mean, we were there for 20 years and we didn't change nothing.
Oh, it just went back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Although I will say, as recently as last year, Iraq is. I was never there 20 years ago when things first popped off,
Yeah.
right? But nowadays, Iraq is light years better
Okay.
than what it was.
Okay.
It's just insanely better. So
That's good.
Well,
yeah, their government is actually running the show.
Oh, okay.
They have their own army. They have their own
Yeah.
force.
So, speaking about international stuff, I would like to talk about the Laborers International Union of North America, one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
They are located at 500 Superior Street in Munster. You can reach them at 219-924-7922. DAV Chapter 80. To meet
That
the
was a
second-
great segue.
You like that?
nice.
DAV Chapter 80, meet the second Friday at Cedar Lake at the American Legion, Post 261, 13050 Washington Street, Cedar Lake. You can reach them at 219-386-2282. Family Dental Care. Veterans receive free exams, x-rays, cleanings, and 10% discount on all other services. 8 convenient Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana locations. You can reach them at 219-804-9329 to schedule your appointment today. Ron J. Pressmer Insurance Company for all your insurance needs, auto, home, life, health, business, and more. 219-844-0103. Kuziak Construction, 1235 Summer Street, 219-923-3007. Heroes Helping Heroes, Northwest Indiana. Contact founder Rich Tokars, 219-670-2501 or www.heroeshelpingheroesin.com. And finally, White Oak Home Care, 9800 Connecticut Street, Crown Point, Indiana, 219-999-5869 or www.whiteoakhomecare.com.
I just seen White Oak Home Care last night at the. There was a business from the North Township business at Wicker Park. And I was like, hey, you guys are one of our contributors on the
Yeah.
show. And they're like, who are you? I said, we're Veterans Views. We're a award-winning radio show.
There
you know?
you go. I want to say one more thing about China and what some people may not realize. Another thing that's in the book is when you, as an American, go into business with China and form a partnership, right? You have to give them all your intellectual material. You have to give them everything.
That's why Tesla's hesitant to move over there. 'Cause
Yeah.
he was planning on
Yeah.
investing billions over there.
But that's why he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get, because what they do then, like I'll give you an example. Segway. Segway made a business. The people that own Segway made a business with China. China got all their blueprints, all their technical data, everything. Well, then what does China do? They create a cheaper Segway, and the original Segway company is now out of business. That's what they do.
Oh my God.
That is what they do, and they do that on a larger scale with bigger businesses. So, that's how that's how our businesses is collapsing in this country.
Oh yeah, so you've
dirty.
heard about the Alibaba. It's one of the
Yeah.
Chinese stocks that's listed on one of our major stock exchanges.
Yeah.
But regardless, so they're like China's Amazon, and we'll end the show here in a few minutes. But Alibaba Group. So this guy got so big, like a Jeff Bezos big in China, to the point where he had a voice and he spoke out against the Chinese government.
He did.
Guess what happened to this dude? You're talking about the biggest company in their country, producing like a large percent of all sales and commerce
Yeah.
movement in their country.
Yeah, they're the
In
Amazon of China. Yeah.
He spoke out against the government and disappeared for 2 years.
Yeah.
Just disappeared. Finally showed his face back in public. He's quiet as a mouse now.
Yeah.
But you know what? They chopped him down,
Yeah.
and the
That's what they
value
do.
of their company dropped like a rock,
Yeah.
like 75% value drop.
Yeah.
That's why.
You
hey,
go up
it's-
against them and
you know
they're-
what? You talk about investing in that country.
That's
Yeah.
making or breaking somebody.
Elon
Right?
Musk-
That's
Whoa.
I
crazy.
think he made a smart
Yeah.
move not going over there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So wait, they have iPhones, don't they? So then, does that mean that they have all this stuff for iPhones?
Well, they
Well,
make a lot.
they
of this
make
stuff.
a lot of this stuff, but if you have an iPhone in China, it's restricted to what you have access to.
Same thing as Iran. They restrict the media. They restrict everything.
Yeah, they control everything.
They don't want you seeing how good we got it over here.
That's
No.
crazy that they can restrict what's on the internet
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Isn't it wild?
You
I
know,
didn't even know it was possible.
I was partying in
Incognito mode.
I thought that
Right.
was the whole point of it, right?
Right. Well, you know what somebody did in Minecraft is they created a library with all the banned books and put it in the middle in a library in Minecraft.
Oh, so that's
So that yeah,
That's so smart.
yeah,
That is smart.
You know,
That is smart.
and I was out partying one time in the city, and I ran into these two Chinese college students. You know, and I'm fascinated by China and how it works. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and they go to Purdue, and I'm like, how did two women from China end up in Indiana going to Purdue? You know, and so we had a little bit of a conversation, and I asked them some stuff, and they're like, "Oh, we can't talk about that."
Yeah.
You know,
They got a
they're
really good
afraid.
Foreign relations program at Purdue Northwest. There's
Yeah,
always a lot.
yeah,
Of,
and they're afraid to talk bad about their country, no matter where they're at.
oh, sure.
because they never
Even
know who's
no matter where
listening.
they're at. Wow.
Yeah, because they never know who's listening.
So it's funny you say that. I just read a thing about how China, there's a whole thing about this whole birthright citizenship thing because I guess China has like a program where they go to U.S. Territories, not states, but U.S. territories.
It's citizenship tourism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a real big thing right now.
They send their
apparently.
pregnant women over here. They have birth, and they go back to China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have a permanent citizenship for their kid
Yeah.
for the future.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Crazy.
Get out of there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, but we have too many. There was just a story about I think it was somebody in our government who had his chief of staff was a Chinese spy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And he was on the Foreign Intelligence Committee.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
so
some serious depth.
That's some serious stuff there.
Yeah.
You know, and what's going on is it's terrible. You know,
Yeah.
when Nixon went over to China in the 70s, that was the beginning of the end. You know,
Mm.
China didn't have all them factories and that before that.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and then Clinton gave them.
Well, he's not a crook.
Right. Yeah, right. You know, and Clinton gave them favored nation status, so that was another thing that brought their products over into this country, and then all our manufacturing went over there. You know, so we need to change. We need to get our stuff back.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. We need to produce it here.
Yeah,
It's-
absolutely.
So
Most-
moral of the story, if you're from the United States, appreciate it.
Yeah, right. Most
Right.
of our medication comes from China, made in China.
Really.
Yes. Yeah.
Even
I
my,
know
ha-
I'm
my,
ba-
my
I'm ba-
hair growth medication.
Right. I know I'm bashing on China, but
Well, that was one of the things that Trump implemented with that whole pharmacy thing. Was
Mm-hmm.
he was saying that you can't overcharge us anymore for pharmaceuticals.
Oh,
Now
that was
we
like
get the
tariff
same
stuff,
rate
right?
that other
Countries
countries
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid.
yeah, because you could buy your diabetes medicine in this country can cost you, $600 a month, maybe even more. Well, you go to Mexico or Canada or other countries, it's pennies on the dollar. You know, so it's ridiculous what we pay.
Yeah, well, we're going to bring this to the end. We got about a minute. We're going to do last call for you, Steve.
Want to talk about, we have a DAV seminar. It's going to be May 3rd in Cherville. It's 1515 Lincoln Way. Seminar starts at 11, and there's going to be food. We'll have, so basically we talk about how we do claims, and then afterwards John and Robert will be doing claims after that from
Awesome.
till 4.
What's the date of that? May what?
May 3rd.
Do you need a reservation?
Nope.
Okay.
And then we also have the women's conference
Yeah.
June 28th.
Oh,
And then we'll start talking about that more. But we should bring this up too.
Oh, yeah, we have June 13th. We have the North Township Veterans Roundtable. They're having their golf outing. It's open to the public. It's $80 per golfer, $324 foursome. If you want more information, you can call 219-313-3934. If you want to sponsor a hole, give them a call. They have various levels of sponsorship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I got. I just want to say thank you for all the listeners. Give us a call anytime, 219-845-1100. We are all veterans here and volunteer force, and we appreciate your civilian service, citizen soldiers, and veterans and current service members out there sacrificing everything. We love you. God bless. Tune in next week, 0900 Friday.
All right.
All right.
Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Good night, Chesty, wherever you are.